Tonight on CTV News, 3 people dead in Maple Ridge.
The news came that it was a shooting, so I didn't know if someone was out there or not. So, yeah, very, very scared.
A horrific scene in 2 different homes. Did a dispute between neighbors turn into murder?
They're going to attach cameras and lights to the drones so that when they go in, they can get a visual of how the workers are.
We learned the scale of the collapse that has trapped 3 workers deep underground in a northern BC mine.
At the start of this trial, Cal Foote walked into this courthouse, an innocent man, and he walks out today exactly that.
Not guilty of sex assault in a dramatic trial. A judge acquits all 5 former junior hockey players. Why the judge said the complainant wasn't credible.
This is CTV News with Mangione Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a shocking case of violence in Maple Ridge that has left 3 people dead. Police were called to the neighborhood last night to deal with a dispute between neighbors. A few hours later, police returned to investigate gunshots and discovered the grisly scene. CTV's Ben Nesbitt is live in Maple Ridge. Ben, what do we know?
Mangione, obviously a very tragic situation here. A neighborhood is just stunned. Investigators have zeroed in on 2 separate houses. The first is just behind me here. Over my shoulder, you can see a car with a bike rack on top. That is the home of the victims. They're a couple in their 60s. They were parents. They were grandparents as well. The next home, a few down, is the suspect's home. Now the police are zeroing in on both of those homes. And neighbors tell us this was possibly the end of a years-long dispute, but all potentially just over parking. Whatever it was, it's a senseless ending and a very tragic situation. A heavy police presence, burnt-out vehicles, and neighbors still processing the tragic events of Wednesday night.
Just shocked, absolutely shocked.
I heard gunshots and looked out the window and I saw the fire.
Ridge Meadows RCMP officers were first called to the area of 239 Street and 118A Avenue just after 6:30 for a neighborhood dispute. They spoke with several people, but no arrests were made. Then, just before 11 p.m., Mounties are called back after reports that cars had been set on fire, as well as gunshots.
I went and looked out the window, and that flames were just going up the side of the house, up into the roof. The car was on fire, and that's when I heard, and then I said, holy crap. I said, okay, shut it down, let's get out of here. Okay.
This man named Rick lives next door to the victims, who he described as a lovely older couple in their 60s. When police arrived the second time, they were dead in their home, while a male suspect who lived across the road fled inside, allegedly carrying a weapon. Police surrounded the home for hours before making entry.
Earlier this morning at around 2:10, one man was found deceased inside a residence from what appears to be a self-inflicted injury.
BC's police watchdog has been called in to investigate the actions of the officers involved. The victims also had a dog who was found dead, while an elderly woman who was living in their basement was able to escape the flames with the help of a neighbor.
An explosion happened right after the gunfire and then fire, and I was like, I kind of blacked out. It was just help everybody else around me.
The BC RCMP's homicide team will investigate the deaths of the 2 victims.
They've been just great neighbors, great people.
Police are expecting to be here for multiple days. Of course, there's multiple different law enforcement agencies here at this scene, but IHITS is calling this an isolated incident. There are no outstanding suspects, and they're asking anyone who was here, who saw anything, heard anything, or has video to come forward. Mangione
has been reporting live tonight from Maple Ridge. 1 person is dead and 2 more are injured after a rollover crash on Burnaby Mountain Parkway early this morning. First responders were called to the scene around 4 this morning and found 1 person dead inside a badly damaged vehicle. BC Emergency Health Services says 2 other people were taken to hospital in stable condition. Burnaby RCMP are investigating what caused the crash. Remote-controlled machinery has begun removing a pile of debris that has trapped 3 workers deep in a mine in northwestern BC. Air is getting through. The company that owns the Red Chris gold and copper mine has just given an update on how the rescue is going. CTV's Sinjin Alexander has the latest.
This is the kind of chamber the 3 workers are believed to be huddled. Officially, a mine arc, the company that makes them, describes the steel shelters as state-of-the-art, with heat and air conditioning and plenty of power. Designed for 16, there's likely enough water and food for weeks.
It's all the basics you need to sustain life, so they're good for a long time.
The diamond drillers, one from BC, one from Ontario, and one from Manitoba, became trapped early Tuesday and are now behind 20 to 30 meters of rock. The ground gave way around 7, then in another spot around 10. That's when initial communication with the workers was lost, but they are believed safe because they're likely far from the debris.
These chambers are all around the site, and they are equipped with food, water, and also the ability to generate ventilation and fresh air, oxygen. It is designed for an extended stay by design.
They may not necessarily know what's going on, and they may not necessarily know how large this fall of ground is.
UBC professor Dwayne Tennant has himself been caught in a refuge area and wouldn't be surprised if they're starting to feel anxious.
They've waited for 2 days and the rescue hasn't showed up yet. So is it 2 more days or is it 2 more weeks?
The Red Chris site near Dease Lake is operated by Newmont, and this overshadowed Thursday's scheduled earnings report.
Our focus is on restoring communications to the refuge chamber, safely re-establishing access underground, and bringing our 3 teammates back to the surface and to their families and friends.
The company admits it doesn't know how long the rescue will take, but have already begun removing debris with remote equipment like this. It's possible the trapped drillers can hear it.
Maybe you can't shout to them, but the noise of some activity, and that would be comforting to them to know that they're out there, the troops are coming, right?
We're told they're trained to work underground and know what to do in emergencies. Already other mining companies are offering assistance. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
The 15-year-old Surrey boy who was stabbed to death in Robson Square on Saturday night has been identified by family. In an online fundraiser, they say Sened Masigebra Amlak Woldai was a joyful, kind-hearted boy whose bright spirit touched everyone he met. They are making arrangements to lay him to rest in Eritrea in East Africa, close to extended family. Police had no significant updates today, but say the investigation is ongoing. The 17-year-old suspect who turned himself in on Monday night has been released. Police are investigating a suspicious death at an Abbotsford care home. Now detectives are trying to uncover what led to what they're calling 2 medical emergencies. CTV's Craig Krause has more.
More questions than answers here in Abbotsford as police try to put the pieces together after a senior died in what is being deemed a suspicious incident. Police say this all stemmed from a call on July 6th by the local hospital about 2 patients who had been transferred from mental home while experiencing medical emergencies that they say raised concerns due to their suspicious nature. The Abbotsford Police Department says one of those patients, who police say are both seniors, died on July 10th, sparking the Major Crimes Unit to investigate. Here's what police said when asked about what makes this suspicious.
That's a question that I think a lot of people want to know, and that's a thing that we are looking to find out. Medical staff are trained to look at their world in the medical world, just as the police when we look at different investigations. From their training and experience for what they were seeing that day led them to believe there were some things that were concerning in their minds.
What that was remains unanswered. Mental Home did not provide an interview, but wrote in a statement that it is fully supporting police in their process and that the safety and well-being of the residents is their top priority. Fraser Health Authority, who funds 196 beds at Mental Home, told CTV News that it has high expectations about safety for people in care in their contracted service providers, and its licensing team is investigating the situation with Mental Home leadership. And I'm being told that Mental Home has put in additional safety measures to keep residents safe, and now as the investigation gets underway, police confirm that there have been no arrests or charges that have been laid. Craig Crowe, CTV News, Abbotsford.
Vancouver police are showing off their latest haul as part of a major operation in the downtown east side. But as CTV's Martin McMahon reports, critics still have issues with how the task force was launched.
From weapons including knuckle knives to crossbows, to $140,000 in cash and a whole lot of drugs, the VPD says this latest seizure as part of Task Force Barrage has taken $2 million worth of illegal substances and cash off the streets.
Over the past 5 months, we've driven down violent crime, made hundreds of arrests, seized more than 1,100 weapons, and significantly interrupted the illicit drug trade.
This latest haul was collected last week from a building near East Hastings and Gore. Beyond the seizures, 19 people were taken into custody. But the former head of the VPD drug unit says enforcement is only one part of the equation.
The sustainability, for example, when the money runs out in Barrage and the police have to, downplay their task force or even ask for more money to continue on with it, the area will default to its previous problem area.
Task Force Barrage has been controversial. It has faced allegations of arrest quotas and criticism Mayor Ken Sim bypassed the police board to approve the $5 million operation.
What's the point of having citizen involvement? What's the point of having citizen oversight? So I don't think the ends justify the means. It's not like it was such an emergency. It's not like it was something that everyone has not been aware of for a long time about the violence in the downtown east side.
But while the task force has had critics, Inspector Gary Hare insists his team has remained focused.
In regards to anything council-wise or funding-wise, that's not for me to speak on. So no distractions at all.
Funding for Task Force Barrage remains in place until mid-August, but could continue longer than that, with Hare indicating he has watched spending. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
This is a replica of a rifle, but a 911 caller didn't know that when they reported seeing a man carrying it onto a bus in New Westminster yesterday. The man was located and taken into custody before police determined the gun was fake. The incident is under investigation as police commend the actions of the 911 caller. It is day 2 of the fitness hearing for accused Lapu Lapu Festival killer Adam Kaiji Low. While lawyers for the Crown and defense continued questioning witnesses, they are eagerly awaiting a Supreme Court of Canada ruling coming down tomorrow, which could upend their strategies. CTV's Ben Milger reports.
A forensic psychiatrist took the stand Thursday at the fitness hearing for Adam Kaiji Low, accused of intentionally driving an SUV through a crowded street festival and killing 11 people. Initially scheduled for 2 days, the judge has delayed lawyer arguments as an impending Supreme Court of Canada decision looms over the hearing.
Any kind of Supreme Court of Canada decision will be binding on all lower courts, and so I'm sure that our courts are right now very cognizant of the fact that this decision is coming out and thinking about how it could apply to the cases that are currently before it.
The case in question involves the homicide of Naomi Kurajija in Toronto in February 2013. Then 18-year-old Mohammed Barwani was found guilty of first-degree murder after a jury at a prior hearing found him fit to stand trial. Barwani appealed his conviction and lost, and now the case is before the Supreme Court of Canada. Friday's decision in Ottawa could have a direct impact on how lawyers for the Crown and defense approach Low's case.
I'm sure that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to prepare for any outcome that's possible.
An accused person's fitness to stand trial, which is currently at issue in Low's case, has to do with their mental health at the time of the hearing. It differs from a defense of not criminally responsible on account of mental disorder, commonly referred to as NCR.
NCR is a completely different thing because we're looking backwards. We're looking at the person's mental state at the time of the alleged offense, trying to determine whether or not they had moral culpability based on that then.
If applicable, the issue of NCR comes up at trial. At this point, it's not yet clear when or if there will be a trial in Low's case. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
It's time to make voting mandatory. That's the opinion of a majority of British Columbians in a recent poll. The sentiment comes as fewer people are exercising their democratic right. That's not the only shakeup some are calling for in our electoral system. CTV's Rob Buffum has the story.
With voting turnout in BC on the decline for decades, last reaching 70% 25 years ago, many in the province want to see action to turn that trend around.
Put your money where your mouth is. Let's make it happen. Let's make a mandatory vote.
A poll out today by Research Co shows 61% support mandatory voting like in Australia. 56% want elections returned to May, and a majority want public holidays on voting days. The same poll shows 77% want to see candidates required to take part in at least one debate.
I think it's important for them to give people the chance to hear who they are.
Nearly two-thirds surveyed say they're satisfied with the current first-past-the-post system.
The system itself, as far as I'm concerned, is working.
This is actually very interesting because it's coming at the heels of one of the closest elections we've had, and also a very close federal election.
Still, nearly half prefer proportional representation, a system favored in much of Europe. One that would see province-wide vote percentages reflect the number of seats elected per party, a change that would blunt concerns about vote splitting.
And that leads to some dysfunctional politics at times. Most spectacularly, we had BC United simply give up.
Pro-rep has been voted on in multiple referendums, consistently voted down, including when former Premier Hogan tried to make it sound hip.
If you were woke, you'd know that pro-rep is lit.
As for ages, only 37% favor lowering the voting age like they did in the UK. The Greens' Rob Botterall is on an all-party committee looking into potential changes to improve BC's democratic system.
You know, when you look at what's happening south of the border, you say, well, it's always the right time to be looking at how to strengthen our institutions.
And Rob Buffum joins us live from Victoria. Rob, when will we hear more from the special committee looking at electoral reform?
Well, Mijung, the committee has been traveling around the province for the past few weeks, getting input from different interest groups. Tomorrow is actually the deadline for any British Columbian who wants to make written submissions with their suggestions for how to improve the system. The committee will then take in all this feedback, review it, and they are obliged to provide recommendations to the BC legislature no later than this December. Mijung.
Rob Buffum reporting live tonight from Victoria. There are concerns tonight that sex assault victims may not want to come forward and seek justice after today's junior hockey verdict.
Definitely been emotional for everybody involved.
A judge ruled all 5 former World Junior hockey players are not guilty of sex assault. What the judge said about the complainant's credibility when CTV News continues. Stay with us.
At the start of this trial, Cal Foote walked into this courthouse, an innocent man, and he walks out today exactly that. Cal never lost faith that justice would be done.
That's a lawyer for former junior hockey player Cal Foote after the verdict in a tumultuous trial that has made headlines for months. He's the son of Vancouver Canucks coach Adam Foote. A packed courtroom in London, Ontario was on edge for hours today as the judge went over the evidence and arguments in the blockbuster sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players. And then the ruling. All 5 men not guilty on all counts. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
The pressure-packed culmination of a historic 8-week criminal trial.
Definitely been emotional for everybody involved.
With the defendants arriving for decision day inside, the proceedings began with a recap of the evidence brought before the courts. Justice Maria Caracia opened by proclaiming that she didn't find the evidence of EM, the complainant, to be either credible or reliable.
There were videos that were put to her. There was testimony of other hockey players. She was heavily cross-examined on that to raise some doubt about her credibility.
During a brief break in today's proceedings before the verdicts were even delivered, the accused hockey players were seen smiling and hugging their lawyers and family members in the courtroom. While delivering her verdicts, Justice Caracia told the court that where EM had gaps in her memory, she filled them with assumptions. Going on to share that EM testified that while at Jack's Bar in London, Ontario, it was the players who bought her drinks all night, though video evidence shows EM purchasing multiple beverages herself. Previously, EM told the courts that on the night of June 18, 2018, she'd arrived at a downtown hotel with Michael McLeod where they had consensual sex. Afterwards, McLeod then sent this text message to teammates asking who wants to be in a, quote, three-way. Multiple teammates arrived at room 209. EM alleged that she was, quote, manipulated and intimidated into remaining inside this hotel room. Though in her findings, Justice Caracia shared that she couldn't find any of the players guilty of sexual assault beyond a reasonable doubt. Former World Junior Team Canada captain Dylan Dubé and teammates Cal Foote, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, and Alex Fermenton have each been found not guilty of sexual assault. McLeod has also been found not guilty of being party to the offense.
We heard protesters scream for justice today. Has justice been served?
Yes, I think that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see justice served here, and Justice Caracia has done a thorough and careful analysis and delivered a just verdict, and so that's what we've seen here today.
As part of her reasons for her decision, Justice Caracia also added that she was satisfied that EM encouraged the men inside that hotel room to take part in the sexual acts and even became upset when they declined her invitation. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, London, Ontario.
The verdict is not sitting well with advocates for sex assault survivors across the country. Many are calling it a loss for those who have been abused and worry the decision will stop victims from coming forward. CTV's Tyson Fedora reports.
All 5 former NHL players walked out of court Thursday with a judge telling them they were free to go.
Sadly, I would say that I was not surprised whatsoever.
Former Calgary Flame Dylan Dubé was one of the accused. He first took a mental health leave before being charged and suspended by the team during the 2023-2024 season, with his contract running out.
The legal system kicks out legal results. It doesn't kick out truth or justice.
Greg Gilhooly, a former hockey player, was sexually abused by his coach, Graham James. He says Hockey Canada is seeing change to the way players behave, but more needs to be done in addressing these issues.
My guess is that if you're a really, really good hockey player, you're going to be welcomed back into the NHL. And if you're a bubble hockey player, NHL teams are going to say that you're not worth the trouble.
Calgary's Communities Against Sexual Abuse says this decision is exactly why sexual assault survivors fear reporting. They do not think they will be believed in court.
We have a 6% reporting rate of sexual violence in this country, and so we also have to remember that there's that whole 94% that don't come forward, and for the 6% that do, only 3% end up in trial.
One Calgarian says she sympathizes with EM.
I know what it feels like to be having to come forward and the fear and the judgment that one might feel over that. For those 5 guys, I hope you can live with yourself, with whatever choices you did or did not make.
A legal expert who researches hockey culture, violence, and masculinity in sports says there are still many troubling issues within high-performance sport.
I think that whichever way this case went, it wasn't going to, solve any problems that we see with sport culture and hockey culture.
Tyson Fedora, CTV News, Calgary.
Team Quebec lit up the night sky over English Bay last night, drawing massive crowds to the West End and Kitsilano. Midweek shows for the celebration of light are typically quieter, but police were still out in full force with more than 400 officers on patrol. After the show, Davie and Denman streets were packed with people all trying to make their way home. The VPD said they were forced to adjust last night after facing problems on Saturday.
Those challenges with egress, getting large numbers of people out of the West End. There were some fights, there was some disorder, and there was a small number of people who acted in a way that made other people feel unsafe. So we're adjusting our plans. We'll reposition officers. We'll bring in some additional on-duty resources to make sure that we've got a higher police presence.
The iconic Canadian Forces Snowbirds also performed with 9 Tudor jets flying in tight formation, mere feet apart. There was also a drone show before the main event. Team Nova Scotia will cap off this year's all-Canadian edition of the festival on Saturday night. Good news for beachgoers. Swimming advisories have now been lifted at several Vancouver beaches. A number of popular spots had been under warnings due to high E. coli levels, but are now considered safe for swimming. English Bay, Second Beach, Sunset Beach, and Kitts Beach have all passed recent water quality tests, as well as Wreck and Acadia beaches near UBC. And Stephanie's here, and that's good news, because I always see people swimming winter, summer at Kitts Beach.
Yeah, cold plunging is huge in the winter. So it is going to be a nice night. It is gorgeous out there. Get out tonight because we have cooler air coming in, and our temperatures are going to be shifting drastically, actually, from what we've been seeing this week. So take a look right now outside. Our temperatures holding on to that heat. It's gorgeous. This evening, though, clouds move in. We have a chance of showers through the overnight, and then into your day tomorrow, we are expecting a few showers. Less in certain pockets. North Shore will be seeing more rain than in Metro Vancouver, but we're dropping down to 21 degrees, which is about 2 degrees shy of where we should be this time of the year.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
And we have a severe thunderstorm watch that's been upgraded to a warning for the North Columbia. I've got those details coming right up.
Okay, but it's good to get a little bit of rain here in Vancouver.
We need it. We'll take it.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. Prime Minister Mark Carney meets with Inuit leaders to address concerns that they won't be properly consulted on major projects.
We have a stadium that we'll lose access to because of construction for the 2026 World Cup.
Questions about the future of the Vancouver Whitecaps, a team that's up for sale and will have a tough time scheduling games at BC Place. That's ahead. The final night of the Celebration of Light is Saturday, but there are also a number of festivals in the region showcasing everything from Caribbean culture to classical music to craft beer. We've got a full list of things to check out on our website, ctvnewsvancouver.ca. The future of the Vancouver Whitecaps and where they'll play is back in the spotlight after the league commissioner said BC Place won't cut it. CTV's Kevin Chirac has the latest on efforts to keep the team in Vancouver.
Here it comes for Ashley! From opening day 14 years ago at Empire Stadium to becoming a full-time tenant of BC Place.
They are one of the few teams in Major League Soccer that doesn't own real estate at all.
In December, the Whitecaps were put up for sale, fueling speculation on the club's future in Vancouver. On Wednesday, the league commissioner addressed those concerns.
We have no plans to move the Vancouver Whitecaps, but right now they don't have a viable stadium situation, and they need one.
Some have raised issues with the 42-year-old stadium, from artificial turf to cavernous fan experience to scheduling conflicts. Last year, the Whitecaps even had to play a home playoff game in Portland.
We have a stadium that we'll lose access to because of construction for the 2026 World Cup. It is we get 17 days where we can play our games, and that's it.
In April, the team confirmed it was in talks with the city for a possible stadium on the PNE Fairgrounds. Mayor Ken Sim telling CTV News in a statement, while we cannot disclose specific information regarding potential land use matters, we are continuing to explore ways to ensure the Whitecaps can remain in Vancouver for generations to come. The team also confirming via statement that discussions with the city of Vancouver regarding potential stadium development at the PNE Fairgrounds site are progressing. The province says it's ready to help.
There may be land restrictions. There may be issues where they need the province to make some tweaks to legislation. Those are the things that we're waiting for the city of Vancouver and the Whitecaps to get back to us on.
But many questions remain, including stadium costs. And does it make financial sense for a potential new owner to keep the team in Vancouver?
I do know that the number of owners that can foot this bill, those don't grow on trees. It's a lot of money to lay out for a new stadium. It's equally hard to get public money to help finance that new stadium.
Both Mayor Sim and Whitecaps officials were not made available for an interview. Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Vancouver.
Prime Minister Mark Carney met with Indigenous leaders in the Northwest Territories today. The big issue on the agenda, the government's major projects legislation.
I want to be clear up front that the Act fully respects treaty rights, including modern treaties.
The Prime Minister delivering strong assurances at a meeting of the Inuit Crown Partnership Committee around the One Canadian Economy Act. Mark Carney revealing that the government will be creating a major projects office and an Indigenous Advisory Council to consult on projects.
With the exception of the Prime Minister.
Legendary jazz musician Chuck Mangione has died. His song Feels So Good was a huge hit in the 70s. And the wrestling world is reeling from the death of a larger-than-life icon. Looking back at the highs and lows of Hulk Hogan, next on CTV News at 6. Pro wrestling superstar Hulk Hogan has died at the age of 71. Known for his larger-than-life personality and signature moves in the ring, Hogan became a household name and helped shape professional wrestling into a global phenomenon. MEC's Mark Barger takes a look back at the legendary life and career of the man who inspired Hulkamania.
Long before he was the face of professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan was a professional guitar player and baseball pitching prospect. He made his wrestling debut in Florida in 1977. Just 2 years later, the wrestling world would be introduced to Hulk Hogan. The Hulk won his first world title in 1985, pinning the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden. Hogan skyrocketed to fame and Hulkamania was born, ushering in the 1980s wrestling boom. From movies, commercials
would be uncivilized,
and TV shows. Hulkamania had become a worldwide phenomenon, with Hogan the industry's most popular character, becoming the first pro wrestler to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. In the mid-90s, Hogan would join a competing wrestling organization, Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling, reinventing himself as a villain. Outside the ring, Hogan's fame included scandal, admitted steroid use, and an unauthorized sex tape that led to a legal battle and an award of millions. A WWE Hall of Famer, he returned to the ring in 2014, hosting WrestleMania 30 and celebrating his 61st birthday. Colorful and charismatic, Hulk Hogan will be remembered as a larger-than-life personality and a pop culture icon. Mark Barker, NBC News.
The entertainment world is mourning the loss of jazz great Chuck Mangione. The two-time Grammy winner was known for this 70s hit, Feels So Good. He played the flugelhorn and trumpet and released more than 30 albums over his 60-year career. Mangione also had a recurring role on the animated sitcom King of the Hill, playing himself. His family says he died in his sleep at home in Rochester, New York. Mangione was 84 years old. How the Vancouver skyline is being used to sell one of the world's most famous chocolate spreads. Also ahead.
I think one of the most powerful moments of this entire trip was seeing what the bison do to the landscape.
In search of the elusive bison herd in Banff National Park, a hiking guide decides he has to search every single trail in the park to find them. That's ahead. If you're in the market for a jar of Nutella, you might find a familiar skyline. The hazelnut spread is showcasing Vancouver on these special edition jars as part of a summer campaign, encouraging people to savor the beauty of Canada. It's one of several new labels showcasing cities across the country at sunrise. They all feature photos taken by local photographers. The goal is to reignite our love for the cities we live in. Stephanie, beautiful skyline, but it's dangerous having Nutella in our house.
Very dangerous. I love this idea, though. It's unique, it's different, and I mean, not to be biased, but Vancouver skyline's the best.
It looks really good, but like I said, you know, Too much of a good thing.
Dangerous calories.
Yes.
And so tasty on everything. So let's take it right now to all the watches and warnings in place. So we have had this watch for the North Columbia upgraded to a warning now. It is about to cross Highway 23. It's moving eastward. So we're tracking that. We're talking, it could be very gusty winds as well as lightning, thunder, and downpours. So all the other areas you can see here are under watches. So we've got the BC piece, we've got Fort Nelson also under a rainfall warning. We've seen heavy rain, and we're going to continue to see that tonight and into your day tomorrow. This takes us in for the next about 24 hours, and then we'll start to see some of those watches and warnings being dropped. Hotspot today was not in Canada. This is the first time in a very long time. It was in BC, Summerland at 33.8 degrees. So it's the first time that BC hasn't topped for all of the entire country. So here's a look at the system. It is taking you into your Friday. We are going to be catching some showers tomorrow, especially around the North Shore Mountains. We'll see more rain than we will here in Metro Vancouver. So here's your rain tracker. You can see it does take, looking at about 3 to 4 millimeters right along the mountains there. Surrey too, and then just some drizzle, really, that potential there out towards the Fraser Valley with mostly cloudy skies. So there's some showers. It's really this drop in temperatures. We're really going to see that drop. We're below seasonal, only 20 degrees inland for Vancouver Island. It's gray. It's got some rain there for Tofino, and we're only looking at 20 degrees for the south end of the island. Sunshine Coast, we'll see clearing skies in through the afternoon. Whistler will clear after some morning rain. Squamish expecting some showers and cloudy skies. And look at these temperatures, 18, 19, Burr. Mostly cloudy, and then out towards the Fraser Valley, it's just a risk. So get ready for a little bit of a change taking us into the weekend. This is for your Friday. Once we get into Saturday, Sunday, it's at least dry but cooler, and that won't be till next week when the temperatures begin to spike again, and we'll be back into the heat. CTV Weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations.
So is it the kind of showers that actually warrants an umbrella?
You know what? It's that summer rain. It's light. It'll be little pockets, spotty showers, so nothing too major, but I'm going to cover my patio furniture.
Okay, you're erring on that side.
I live in the North Shore, so I'm going to err on caution.
Because you might get a little more rain there.
Could just be drizzle, but better to be safe because I've got people coming over tomorrow night.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. Well, a hiking guide in Alberta has finished a 3-year quest to hike every trail in Banff National Park and to see the park's majestic but elusive bison herd. Jeff Douglas set out in the summer of 2022 with one mission: find the bison. His first attempt came up short, no bison in sight. He then decided to pair that search with another ambitious goal to hike every trail in the park. That's no small feat, with more than 2,000 kilometers of marked trails to cover. But this spring, on his last trip, he was finally rewarded with finding the herd on day 3 of a 4-day hike.
I think one of the most powerful moments of this entire trip was seeing what the bison do to the landscape. None of us had seen that before in the park system, and well, nobody that's still alive, and it was remarkable how they changed the landscape for the better.
16 bison were reintroduced into the park in 2017, and today the herd has grown to more than 130 animals. Parks Canada monitors the bison to make sure they stay within the park's boundaries and that they're healthy and thriving. A plague of locusts? A family wonders why thousands of grasshoppers have invaded their backyard, plus Sarah's success. Adam finds out the story behind a Saanich teenager who's making an inspiring mark on the national stage. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Right now, here's a preview of CTV Morning Live.
We are breaking down the ruling in the World Junior Hockey Canada trial Friday on CTV Morning Live. What it means as the case sparks new conversations about consent. We'll speak with an expert in law. Also, the Premier's meeting is in the books. What does it mean going forward as Canada faces a deadline to get a new trade deal with the United States? And a preview of this weekend's colorful Whitecaps match as the organization celebrates the 12th anniversary of its Pride match. We'll see you in the morning.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
An Alberta man is spending his summer trying to catch and kill grasshoppers as the uninvited insects invade his yard. Alan Lubberding of St. Albert says he has had to kill thousands of grasshoppers since the infestation began earlier this month. Despite his efforts, they keep crawling back. He believes they're coming from the field behind his house, which is part of the province's transportation utility corridor.
They're just everywhere. Like, you can't sit and enjoy your yard, you know, and they're chewing the plants. We spend our time trying to catch and kill grasshoppers.
He's made a complaint to the city, which says it's closely monitoring the issue, adding other areas in the province are struggling with the same thing. The main reason grasshoppers are swarming some areas is due to the hot and dry weather. That's gross. Yeah, we do have grasshoppers and crickets here, but not swarms of them. At least I haven't seen them.
I have not.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a foul ball that had baseball fans looking up at a game in Illinois, but thousands of hot dogs falling from the sky. The Joliet Slammers set a world record Tuesday night for the most hot dogs dropped in an hour from a helicopter. 2,600 hot dogs weighing nearly 500 pounds rained down onto the turf ahead of the 6th inning. Players tossed the dogs into the sold-out crowd, who could not be more excited.
Is this one of the best days of your life?
Yeah, probably one of the best days of my life.
Also in the crowd that night was Bill Murray, who is one of the owners of the Independent League team. Wait a minute, they fall to the ground and then you throw them into...
It's raining cats and hot dogs?
And then people eat them? Okay.
Not very sanitary.
No,
not at all.
The kids are having fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary, what's coming up tonight?
Meejung, we have an update. The workers who are trapped at the Red Chris mine in northern BC have been identified as Darian Maduke, Kevin Coombs, and Jesse Chubati. We'll have the latest on the rescue efforts at 11:30. Also tonight, school trustees and advocates are speaking out, saying there needs to be more transparency and research after Vancouver City Council voted against a review on the school liaison program. The program, which deploys police officers to schools, was eliminated in 2021. After some students felt unsafe. It was reinstated in 2023. We'll have that story at 11:30 as well. Meejung.
All right, thanks, Mary. Finally, Adam meets a Saanich teen who's kicking down barriers. Her determination in karate hasn't just earned her medals, it's earned her national recognition. On tonight's Encore, Sawatsky sign-off.
My routine.
Well, Sarah Nolan is completing her morning routine.
Brush, do hair, eat breakfast.
The 15-year-old is anticipating her daily activities.
Busy, busy, busy.
And if her daughter's schedule is not jam-packed full of possibilities,
then she'll find something to keep her busy.
Perhaps practicing her favorite Disney song, knitting something cozy, or coloring something cheerful.
She has to work so hard just to do the mundane things.
Yet Down syndrome never stopped Sarah when she was waiting in the lobby for her siblings to learn karate and started imitating their moves.
The policy is integration, not segregation.
So Sarah started training with Richard Mosdahl, who says her positivity earned the respect of the whole class.
That internal motivation to want to keep trying was really amazing.
Over the next 7 years, Sarah practiced daily and eventually placed so well at the regional and provincial level against athletes without disabilities that she recently earned an opportunity to compete at the Nationals.
It was kind of scary at first.
It was scary at first, Sarah says, as she wore a new karate uniform that her fellow classmates had pooled their money to buy for her and began performing.
You could see her heart was beating. Absolutely.
But Sarah overcame the mental and emotional pressures, completed the kata routine with accuracy, confidence, and grace, and won gold.
Yay! Way Sarah!
Lots of high fives. I saw a little tear in her eye, and boy, tears came in my eyes.
Sarah's next step is training to qualify for Team Canada with the hopes of competing at the Paralympics in 2028. But before that, she's crediting her karate community and family for her success and offering this advice.
Stay confident and do what I have to do.
Be confident and do what you have to do, Sarah says, and you too can overcome whatever adversity is facing you. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
Good for her. What a great role model.
Yeah, she's an inspiration. Have you guys ever done martial arts?
A little bit. My dad's really into it. He's 6 Dan black belts. What about you guys?
No, but I mean, it obviously looks like it takes a lot of discipline, hard work, practice, and she's put a lot into it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, here's a look at your scenic snapshot tonight. Here's a close-up of this butterfly enjoying, I think it's a lilac, I think. Thank you, Brenda from Maple Ridge. If you'd like to send us your photo, please email scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'd rather see a butterfly than
the grasshoppers.
Gorgeous. Okay, thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.